And sound and video online.
Call meeting to order at 6:46 p.m. The Township of Black River, Madison acknowledges the Apatippi and Sinapec Nation. Together, we shall build a strong and inclusive community. A reminder to all in attendance that council meetings are recorded and made available to the public on the township website for review. Confirmation of agenda, need a mover and seconder. Councilor Neal, Councilor Gathering,
Can I read the motion, Mr. Chair?
please.
It was moved by Councilor Neal and seconded by Councilor Gadry that the agenda for the regular council meeting of May 9th, 2023 be approved as printed.
All those in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Adoption of minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Gathering. Sorry, Councilor Rondo, sorry.
Mr. Chair, can I read the motion?
Please.
Moved by Councilor Gadry, seconded by Councilor Rondo, that the following minutes are hereby adopted. Minutes of a special council meeting held April 24th, 2023. Minutes of a quarterly meeting held April 25th, 2023. And minutes of a regular council meeting held April 25th, 2023.
All those in favor? Carried. Consent agenda. I need a mover and a second. Rondo. Schmidt.
Can I read the motion, Mr. Chair?
Please.
It was moved by Councilor Rondo, seconded by Councilor Schmidt. Be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the May 9th, 2023 council agenda, as the motion contained therein, be approved and recorded as listed below.
Councilor Neal.
Just regarding the consent agenda, am I allowed to speak to a couple of the things that we're addressing?
When it comes to a consent agenda, Councilor Neal, in order to speak on any item, it needs to be removed. So, which is no issue at all. No one needs to move or second it, but if anything that you want to speak on needs to be removed from the consent agenda.
Okay, I would say 5B and C. I'll explain away after.
So council, 5B and 5C will be reflected under the agenda as 12A and 12B. So Mr. Chair, I'll remind you when we get to that section of the agenda. Can I reread the motion as amended?
Please.
Moved by Councilor Rondo, seconded by Councilor Schmidt, be it resolved that the consent agenda items as listed on the May 9th, 2023 council agenda be received except items 5B and 5C as the motions contained therein be approved and reported as listed below.
All in favor? No delegations, no new business. No more notice of motion, no reports. And bylaws. We need a mover and a second. Councilor Neal and Councilor Rondo.
Moved by Councilor Neal, seconded by Councilor Rondo. That bylaw number 2023-11 being a bylaw of the corporation of the Township of Black River, Matheson to provide for drainage works in the Township of Black River, Matheson, known as Bibby Ridge Drain, be read a third time and finally passed this 4th day of May 2023.
Yes.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, address just council again, this is cleanup from 2017 in order for us to receive our monies with the province.
I do have a question. Should I read the ninth day? of May?
Yes. So the motion was corrected, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor? Carried. Number 11, unfinished business. Did we each one separately?
Yes.
Sorry, can I read the highlight?
Yes.
11A, Councilor Dave Diamond, adjustment to landfill schedule report. Can I get a mover and a second? Councilor Neil, Councilor Gattari,
Moved by Councilor Neil, seconded by Councilor Gattari, that council requests staff to prepare an alternative landfill schedule report with the following details, and it was left blank.
Councilor
Can I possibly request to defer this? thing? Is that possible? Unless we're talking about it. today.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman. If you want to move a motion to defer, we need a seconder, and we'll just need the reason and the date we're moving it to. So, Mr. Chair, potentially there's a motion on the table to defer, which takes precedence over your main motion.
Mhm.
So you have a mover, you're seeking a seconder. If there's no seconder, the defer was dropped. Okay,
Do I have a second to defer?
I'm sorry, can we ask why before we? You can ask Councilor Schmidt why, yes, because she's moving the deferred motion. Okay. Sorry, Councilor Gavin, there's a motion on the table. In order to ask why, we need a seconder, and then you can ask why. Because with no seconder, there's no purpose of you asking the question, because it could be removed from the table, so we need a seconder. If there is.
Councilor Gattari,
Now, I'd like to ask why we want to defer this.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak? Okay, I have a proposed alternative to the resolution that we discussed. And I would just like a little bit more time to process the proposed alternative, so that when I present it to everybody, it's clear, concise, and to the point. So if I could have a little bit of time to, and I would be fine to present this at the next meeting. I don't need very much time, but I'd like to be a little bit more prepared. And I would also like, maybe the entire council to be here to have a discussion about it.
if the chair is okay with that.
Yes, well, I'm drafting the motion based on what I heard, and
Okay.
then once I read it, the council can choose whether or not they will.
Works for you?
Okay. If I can, Mr. Chairman, read the deferred motion. Moved by Councilor Schmidt and seconded by Councilor Gattari. That council defer. That council defer agenda item 11A to the May 23rd, 2023 regular council meeting in order for the entire council to be present and allow more time for council to present details for the staff report. So, Mr. Chairman, ask your council if they have any questions.
Anyone have any questions? All those in favor? Carried. Eleven D. Councilor Dave Diamond, payment program report from Treasury Department. I need a mover and a second. Councilor Neil, Councilor Schmidt.
Moved by Councilor Neil, seconded by Councilor Schmidt, that council requests staff to prepare a payment program report.
Comments? Councilor Neil.
Has something happened with regard to that?
No, we were just gonna pass a motion to get a report prepared. But if I make the motion on the table. I can do that from
And
here.
Mr. Chair, yes.
I would like to defer this as well. To, one, ensure that all the, more members of the council are here, as well as. It could have an effect on budget, so I'd like to have more people at the time.
Mr. Chairman, I need a seconder for your motion.
Councilor Rondo,
So, Mr. Chairman, just give me a few minutes to draft the motion. Mr. Chairman, to the May 23rd,
yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, can I read the deferred motion?
Yes, please.
Moved by Councillor Diamond and seconded by Councillor Rondo. That council defer agenda item 11B to the May 23rd, 2023 regular council meeting in order to have all members present as it may affect the operating budget for 2023.
All those in favor? Carried. 11C. Councilor Dave Diamond, key council meeting attendance report. Need a mover and a second. Councilor Rondo, Councilor Gatter,
Moved by Councillor Rondo, seconded by Councillor Gattary, that council requests staff to prepare a key council meeting attendance report, taking into consideration quorum provisions.
Councilor
Now,
Gatter.
just a question, can that be clarified exactly what that would entail? Purpose for this, just to get into clarifying.
Answer.
Yes, Mr.
Oh, yeah. I'll answer. Is what my request for the report was so that we would have more council members here when a very specific monetary or budgetary specific item was being discussed, so that the public could feel that they were getting full review of all their members. However, go ahead, Councilor.
If I can, Mr. Chair, just to give some background on this. So based on Robert's Rules and the Municipal Act, your default quorum provision is majority +1. But each council defines their quorum. So to what the chairman is speaking about is that in your procedural bylaw, you can have conditions. So certain, in this particular circumstance, certain meetings of council, be it budgetary meetings or large policy meetings, where your quorum provision is increased. So your quorum isn't then majority +1, maybe it's 2/3. So that way, I would not recommend that you do everyone, because you could be handcuffing the operations, because you have to take other things into consideration, but you can make the threshold higher. It makes council more accountable.
Sure, yeah, so I think that's a great idea. I'm just wondering, as far as people planning time away, are key council meetings going to be scheduled as monthly items, or they can come up as a surprise meeting? So I'm just wondering, when people have made plans, if you're making plans to go away, how will that impact if you're unable to attend? If it's not pre-planned when these key meetings are going to take place?
If I can, this is why the report will be drafted. However, there's also a clause in your procedural bylaw where if something were to arise unexpectedly, and then of course this condition has been implemented, it's called a section suspension. So council could recognize, look, like we can't hang on to this, we're going to suspend that section, ignore that increased quorum provision and still move forward. But that would be on a case-by-case basis, and but that will be covered in the report, Councilor Neal, on how we'll address that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to put a motion on the table for the same reasons I did for 11B, for wait for more members of staff are here, and it could affect, again, it could affect it would affect budget meetings. And I'd like to defer that until May 23rd.
I need a seconder.
Councilor Goddard,
Just take a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, can I read the deferred motion? Moved by Councillor Diamond, seconded by Councillor Gattari, that council defer agenda item 11C to the May 23rd, 2023 regular council meeting in order to have all members present for the discussion and possible budget implications.
in favor? Passed. Eleven D. Declare old Raymore Fire Hall surplus. Need a mover and a seconder. Councilor Rondo, Councilor Schmidt,
Moved by Councillor Rondo, seconded by Councillor Schmidt, whereas council recognizes that the old Ringmore Fire Hall legal description is Playfair Concession 5, north part of Lot 5, is no longer needed for municipal purposes. Therefore, be it resolved that under section 4.1 of bylaw number 51-2007, council declares the old Raymore Fire Hall as surplus property. And finally, that in the event the property does not sell after 30 days, council will proceed with an RFP to demolish the building.
comments? All those in favor? Carried. 11E, Recreation Ad Hoc Committee application. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Neal, Councilor Rondo,
Moved by Councillor Neal, seconded by Councillor Rondo, that council appoint the following individual to the Recreation Ad Hoc Committee, Ron Bellefeuille.
comments? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. 12A.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Councilor Neal,
Just a question. I was wondering now if the rec committee has enough individuals to actually start having meetings. Are we still short?
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, we can look, if you just give us a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need to. So, okay, Mr. Chairman, yes, we can start waiting. We need more, we do, we need two more, but you have enough for a majority to. Okay, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chairman, sorry.
So we are 12A, which was 5B on the consent agenda.
Correct. Yes,
Any mover and seconder?
yes.
Can I get a mover and seconder? Councilor Neal and Councilor Rondo,
Moved by Councillor Neal and seconded by Councillor Rondo, that council supports the resolution passed by the Regional Municipality of Waterloo regarding protect privacy of election candidates and donors. And that staff forward this resolution to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Steve Clark, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, MPP John Bancroft, and
Comments?
Yes, again, your chair. So when I see this motion that we are looking to vote on, I think if I live in a bigger city, then that may be applicable. We live in Matheson, Black River. Everybody knows our place where we live. They know our house address. And so I kind of think this is almost something we can remove from this motion, because even if you remove it, people still are going to know exactly where you live in this community. So I think this is good for a bigger city. For Matheson, I think it's almost like it's not really even worth having on as a bylaw or pointless. So I'm just wondering, again, that's my point for bringing it to our attention, because everybody knows where you live. And if they don't, all they have to go to is one of the corner stores and they'll know in about 3 minutes.
Okay.
so if I can, so based on that, council can choose to still take a position and vote on it, or council can just ask that the motion be removed and council takes no position on it. It's up to you, what you want recorded in your minutes.
Councilor Neil?
I would ask that it be removed from this docket. But again, if someone wants to speak in favor of it and explain your position, I'd be happy to hear.
Everybody agree with Councilor Neil to remove it? Well, B, which is 5C in the consent agenda,
Yes. Yeah, move in a second.
move in the secretary.
Yes.
Councilor Neil and Councilor Armand.
Moved by Councilor Neil, seconded by Councilor Rondo, that council supports the resolution passed by the town of Cochrane regarding historical challenge for women in politics, and that staff forward this resolution to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Steve Clark, who is the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, MPP John Bancroft, and Amo.
Councilor Neil.
Yes, if I may speak to it. I find this a little, and again, insulting towards women. I have 2 daughters that are professionals. And I was thinking if it's a matter of setting, a percentage of people. I think council would do great if we had 6. I think if the mayor was a woman, that'd be great. So I think that this is kind of a little bit insulting that, if there isn't the proper amount of quorum, that we have to bring them. So I was just thinking, even as in this community, when we look at the number of people that ran for council this year, there wasn't much as far as competition or even for an election. And so I thought, if in 4 years' time, hopefully the women here will run again. But if the woman ever chose not to run and you ended up having 5 male councillors' names on wards and 1 woman, so then you're going to say, well, sorry, one of the men can't sit on, or 2 men can't sit on council. We need women. I believe women can show their merit by their action in the community prior to coming on this council. I think actually, Alana, Councillor Schmidt, when you came on, it was unanimous that based on merit, that you were the best candidate to fill the position. And so I kind of feel this is insulting to women's abilities. That's again, my personal slant. And so that's why I would speak against this motion for a percentage.
I agree. I agree, although I would encourage women to apply.
Or there shouldn't be a percentage put forward.
No. I don't like quotas.
No.
I think you make a really good point.
Do we want to remove this as well?
So it's removal, or do you want to vote on it and show your stance by it being defeated? Again, it's I'm not trying to steer, I'm just reminding you of your options.
I would rather remove it simply because by voting on it, it could seem that somehow we're voting against women's rights. And I again, even in the position of the organization I'm a part of, I have championed women to be leaders in my organization. And so again, when I look at that, I think that's our position as council. I think we show it by the actions that we do. If it was ever became an issue that wasn't happening on this council, then I definitely would be the premier person to make a motion that women be involved in council. But I just think right now, by the size of our council, by the number of people that actually apply for council when there was an election, I think that could be a risky thing. So I would ask to be removed rather than to vote. And just as a comment, Cochrane, doesn't look like Cochrane even voted on this yet. It's like it's been deferred.
Councilor Gunn.
I agree with Councilor Neil. And I mean, the fact that we have 4 women on council shows where we stand.
So we'd like to remove it? Or-
Yeah.
Yep, remove it.
But doesn't voting. Or 4 women on council, doesn't voting show that, we don't want that? That percentage?
If I can, so recognize that when we send out our letter, it doesn't specify who our council is.
Okay.
So I recognize what you're saying, but they don't know
Okay.
the dynamics of this council. So, Mr. Chairman, just when you're looking for consent from your members to remove it, you do need to get a head nod or some type of reaction that they are in agreement.
Are we going to remove it
Yeah.
or not? No closed session. Adjournment. I need a mover second, Councilor Battery, Councilor Rondo.
Moved by Councilor Gattari, seconded by Councilor Rondo, that this regular meeting of councils hereby adjourned at 7:12 PM.
In favor? Okay.